Hi everyone, I'm Laura. Thanks for joining me in this practice today. We're going to be working with a yoga block, so if you have one of those, you can go ahead and grab it, or something else around your house that's going to give you a bit of support in your poses. We're going to start down on the back. So come on down and we'll start to settle ourselves against the floor, tucking the shoulders back, finding that feeling of support. And once you are down, we're going to grab the block, and on the lowest setting so that it has the most contact with the floor, you're going to slide that underneath your pelvis. So you just kind of bridge yourself up and make sure that it's low so that the whole weight of your pelvis is resting in that block. Take an exhale. Let yourself sink into that feeling of support. And you can stay just like that, or we can start to tent the knees into each other with the feet out wide to the sides of the mat. And that just creates a little bit more space, kind of wrapping the muscles around the outside of the hips. And when the legs get to rest on each other, those muscles that love to grip and hold tension get enough support that they can relax. Now, often we hold so much tension around the pelvis that just giving it support might not be enough to get some deep relaxation. So the next part of that is to start to work with our breath. Thinking about using your exhale to settle into gravity. Thinking about using your inhale to create this sense of space and openness. Using the breath to find that full experience within the pose, and just watching how from one breath to the next, the sensation that you're experiencing within the pose can be so different. We'll start to heel toe the feet toward the center and really make sure that the block is nice and low towards your tailbone, toward the bottom of your pelvis. So we don't want any pressure from the block on the lower back. The lumbar spine is free. And we'll let the knees open out the other way. So we're getting our external rotation in the hips, and we already did our internal rotation. So getting everything nice and balanced here. Go through that same process. Inhale for space. Exhale to settle. Our process here is just asking, how much can I let go? How much can I let the pose do the work for me? Taking one more breath here. Bringing the knees toward each other. Now very carefully start to lift yourself up off the block and roll down, coming back into that more neutral position. And then we're going to take the block in between the knees. And the knees come up toward the chest slightly. Okay, start to rock the knees from side to side. It doesn't have to be a very big movement. We're just trying to roll the pressure from side to side on the sacrum so it feels very settled. as you go through a few rounds of rolling from side to side, the movement might get bigger. You might get closer toward the floor, but see how it feels for you. Okay, come back toward the center. Stretch your legs all the way up. You still have that block kind of in between the thighs. Arms come up toward the sky, and we'll start to wiggle hands and feet. When we turn ourselves upside down like this, really good for circulation, especially with the legs, to help that return circulation. Bringing movement in helps even more, that internal pumping effect for movement. As you take your exhale, elbows and knees bend, start to lower down toward the mat, and we'll take the block in between our hands. So I'm going to hold the long side of the block, so I'm looking at the widest surface, and just a gentle bit of pressure in toward the block, just enough to engage the arm muscles. And we'll reach up overhead. Exhale, bring the arms down. Just a couple times, getting some opening through the underside of the shoulder. And when you come up towards center, you're going to rock from side to side. This is a bit different than the normal way that we twist. Think about the top arm trying to reach out as far as you can. So you're getting that space back around the shoulder. You're trying to peel your upper back away from the mat. Upper back twisting is usually a little bit trickier. We are very often holding tension in the upper back or the thoracic spine. Okay, come back towards center. We can place our block over toward the side. Knees come into the chest, and you can really hug them in a couple times to make space in the low back. And then we'll hold on to the back of the legs, and I'll give you a choice. You can either roll toward the side to come up to sitting, or if you would like to do some rocking, we'll start to use the legs to rock up and down on the spine. This is kind of a fun way to come up to sitting. Okay, next time that you roll up, try to find your balance point. Good. And place the feet down. So we've done the bound angle position over the block. We're going to see how the experience is a bit different here while we're sitting. So feet together. And I'm going to show you this from the side because there's a lot to play around with in bound angle. A lot of times we think that our feet have to be super close to us, and they don't. We can use lots of room. Send your feet away from you so you have a larger diamond. Use that space to get very tall through the spine and lift through the lower back, so there's no rounding. Start your exhale to work your way forward, and this is going to feel a bit different in your hips. Giving yourself that little reminder that it is not about how far we come down into the pose, it's about checking in with the sensations that you're experiencing and really deciding, is this the version of the pose that my body needs right now? If you want to try to adjust the feet a little bit and see how that changes the feeling of the pose, just make sure you're trying to keep some space through the low back. These are your poses. You're allowed to play around with them and adjust them. Take your inhale to come up, and we'll swing the legs around to the back. Rocking forward and back a couple times. Rocking to warm up the hips and the knees, see how they feel with having a good amount of bend. And as you come back up into table, we'll take the right leg back and start to do these really big, generous circles. Lots of attention into the hips. Moving the hips in all different directions. Okay, drop that side down. We'll come back to that forward and back rock. And it's interesting, the in-between time when we've done a movement or a pose on one side but not the other. There's a lot that we can learn in that in-between time. All right, let's even that out. Reach your other leg back and start to move that hip in a kind of circular movement. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You're just exploring the range of motion with your hip. And you can change direction when you're ready. Good, coming back to center. Now we rock forward and back. Everything is even. We've done both sides. You might notice a bit more freedom of movement. Thank you for joining me in this video. If you would like more information on my classes, workshops, or working with me one-on-one, head over to my website, LauraGyoga.com. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel for more content like this, and check out these two videos next, which were picked out especially for you. I'll see you in the next one.